Today's weather took me back. It actually reminded me of how often our lives get distracted. Even under these distractions, we never get used to. I guess it's because distraction is not meant for us to be comfortable, but rather to take some action. Hi everyone, my name is Lady Sue. I am your spiritual life coach. Today's weather actually reminded me of the many distractions that make us strong and realign us in our paths of life. Do you perhaps have some thought where you couldn't take any action until distraction knocked at the door? Yes, distractions are there to help us take some action. Sometimes we become too comfortable in life. I guess we do not get used to these distractions because they are not meant for comfort. They're actually meant for us to actually start taking action and implementation of certain things that we are supposed to align to or correct in our lives. I've had a privilege of working with people in counseling, and most of the clients that I work with are people who have actually encountered some distraction in their lives, or they are about to go through a distraction and they like to equip themselves and to be rather prepared, so then that distraction comes, they are in a better place or a better way to handle it. So I have developed an acronym which I use sort of like a strategy for my own life and for my clients. So because distraction has taught me that it is meant for us to act. So my acronym then is derived from the word action. A stands for acknowledgement. When you are in a destructive mode, you need to acknowledge, you need to be aware of that distraction, what it is about, and how you are going to maneuver around it. There are different forms of distraction. It can be from little things to such major issues in life, like grief, loss maybe of a loved one, or a relationship, maybe you're going through a divorce, or loss of a job, or even loss of a business that propels serious and major financial turnaround. So all this can bring a lot of distraction in our lives. And when we do acknowledge, we are better prepared, because then you are propelled to change the attitude regarding that distraction. Either you are going to sit in the pain, which is okay. We need to at some point sit in the pain and process it. However, you need to also move out of that pain and start having an action plan after you have actually acknowledged whatever the distraction that you are handling. We then need to move to the next phase, which is C for commitment. We need to at some point move away from the grieving phase, from the painful stage, where we, after acknowledge, we need to now commit. This is where we come up with an action plan. Obviously, distraction has propelled you into doing something, into acting. So you need to then set an intention and set goals. After you have set those goals, you then need to commit to the cause. Commitment is very important. You need to then commit so that you can be able to move forward. So committing into whatever that has brought distraction, so that you do not look at distraction as a distraction anymore, but a way of realigning and changing into whatever that you need to change to. This requires commitment. T is for tolerance. Sometimes we become too hard about ourselves and about our situations. It's not always about looking at beating yourself up and the failures that has happened, because certain situations are really out of our control. So we need to then be tolerant of ourselves. Tolerance goes a big way, because when you are tolerant of yourself, when you are tolerant of your situation, you become more loving than judging, and you are going to now make decisions from the rational side and not by being emotional. I is for intention. We need to be very intentional. Distractions obviously propels for a certain action or certain change. So we need to be clear about the change or the impact that you want to bring in your life. And therefore, this means that you need to own up to whatever that has happened and to actually be intentional about what is it that we want to change and what is it that we want to move forward with. So intentions are quite important and critical. O for openness. At times we can actually sit in our heads a lot, and we can even become disillusioned. You know, there's certain situations that are so destructive that you do not want to sit in the real state. You do not want to be realistic. You're sitting in your world where we do not want to face reality. Sometimes we need to be open to ourselves. You don't need to open up to the world, but you need to open to yourself. You need to be realistic and accept whatever that has happened, because real change only happens when you are true to yourself. Owning up to your own truth, that is what is important. And the N stands for normal. We ought to normalize situations. As indicated, we can sit in our disillusion sometimes because the distraction was so painful that you do not want to handle it, you do not want to process it, or for that matter, you do not want to accept. You are actually forced to accept it. It's not something that you really wanted to do, and therefore you sit without normalizing the situation. Take, for example, a grief of a loved one. Sometimes it is very difficult to accept that that person is no more. However, in order to move forward and for your own sanity, we have to bring ourselves back so that we can be able to normalize the situation and living without that person. So this normalizing situation propels us to actually be rational and to process, accepting the situation completely, including its packages. We need to sometimes lean onto the unknown and the supernatural powers. As difficult as it may be sometimes, the new norm would be what we need to go into. This includes having to start all over. A lot of us, when serious distractions happen, they propel us to start all over. And it can be scary to start all over sometimes. However, it is okay to start over. It is normal to start over, because perhaps the journey that you were in was not realigned, or it did not serve your higher purpose. And by you starting all over, you will now be serving your higher purpose. You will now be gelling into the soul contract, what you have actually signed when you came into this planet. So let us not be scared or intimidated by starting all over or the unknown that is still to come. We need to embrace it full force and understand that it is normal and it is okay to start over, because with the lessons that we have learned, we can only become better people. Thank you so much for your time and for watching. So remember to subscribe and to like. Until next time, thank you so much and goodbye.